This is Nightline.
Tonight, neighborhood nightmare, a home overtaken by squatters.
We saw a U-Haul truck back up the long driveway in the middle of the night.
You shouldn't be trying to steal my house.
The growing problem forcing homeowners to confront those living on their property without permission.
Why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
The legal loopholes helping these unwelcome guests extend their stay.
If a teenager has to find a workaround to get a squatter out of a home, something's wrong with the system.
And Shahs of Sunset star Reza Farahan.
Hello, we're Persian.
Opening up about his career in reality TV.
If I can show people that we are so similar to other cultures just by being ourselves, that it would help.
And his thoughts on the war as a refugee of the Iranian Revolution.
For us, it felt like, you know, pure evil had been eliminated.
War with Iran. Nightline's special coverage continues. Tonight is day 20.
From ABC News headquarters in New York, this is Nightline.
Thanks for joining us. Tonight, imagine someone breaking and entering into your property, living there like they own the place, and then finding yourself in a costly legal maze to get them out. Some homeowners finding that horror unfolding right there in their living rooms. Here's ABC's Mola Lenghi.
From the outside, this home in suburban Bethesda, Maryland looks like a dream, worth more than $2 million. 3 stories, 6 bedrooms, a big yard. But not everything is what it seems. Look closer and you'll see signs of trouble.
House next door, we've always kind of lived in its shadow. It snakes around the back of our property.
19-year-old Ian Shen grew up right next door.
We're a neighborhood that likes to help each other out. We watch each other's houses when we're away. All of the doors and windows have been boarded up.
Ian says that's why he noticed last summer when he was home on break from college that something was off at the house next door.
We first noticed strange activity around July 4th weekend when we saw a U-Haul truck back up the long driveway in the middle of the night. And we thought that someone had bought the place and was moving in. It wasn't until some of our other neighbors next door informed us that they were actually not the new buyers.
The home had been foreclosed and the bank owned it. A woman named Tamika Good and some others had moved into the house.
They would always try to avoid being seen. There was more of a desire to just understand what was happening. So that's why I kind of took matters into my own hands and sought to take action myself.
Ian, who's studying government at William and Mary, started by looking at the law.
The laws seem to be almost non-existent and even more towards encouraging this type of behavior rather than deterring it.
Property law and property rights vary from state to state. And in Maryland, when it comes to squatting rights or laws about squatters, it's very sparse. There's actually no direct law about it. Other states like New York or Arizona have created laws that create a clear guideline as to what a squatter is and what a squatter isn't. Because you want to strike a balance between what are the rights of a landlord and what are the rights of a tenant.
Squatting has been a problem across the country. The National Rental Home Council pinpoints the highest concentrations of complaints in states like Georgia, Florida, and Texas. One such case was from Patty Peoples in Jacksonville, Florida, who found out the hard way that squatters had broken in and taken over one of her investment properties.
I called 911, and as I'm describing to the officer that there may be somebody that had broken and entered into my house, out walks a young woman. And she said, well, I rented this property yesterday. It only got worse. I own this house.
It doesn't matter. Yes. Excuse me. If you touch me again,
I have every right to be in this house.
You don't have every right to be in the house at all.
I do, ma'am.
You do not.
You
do not. I'm not touching you.
You are touching me. And this lady is touching me.
We're blocking you from coming in the house.
You are.
You're doing too much. God.
Believe it or not, the police officer told me, I will arrest you if you do this again. They have the right to privacy. I cannot tell you the frustration I felt.
Adele Andaloro went through something similar when she says squatters took over a home she inherited in New York City. The confrontation caught on camera by our station WABC.
Why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
At that time in New York City, squatters had tenant rights after 30 days, making this a landlord-tenant dispute. And her case did push New York state lawmakers to change rental laws to exclude squatters. In many cases, squatters target vacant or investor-owned properties where they can go unnoticed for longer periods of time.
In Maryland, once a person has established residency, meaning they've been there for at least 30 days, it's very difficult for civil measures to kick that person out. You can't change the locks, you can't turn off the heat or the water.
Ian says about 2 weeks after Tamika Good moved in, he reached out to the realtor for the house, who gave him permission to start the legal process to remove the squatters.
I began by knocking on the door, posting some no trespassing signs, really just trying to identify whoever was living there.
In most states, it's prosecutors who bring criminal charges against other people. But Maryland's a little unique because citizens can actually file claims in court. Ian Chen did just that.
And I filed statement of charges for trespassing and burglary.
How would you describe the nature of her residence there?
Making use of an abandoned property, which isn't a crime necessarily.
Alex Webster and Tom Moronic represent Tamika Good.
Tell me about Tamika Good. Who is she? Describe her.
Well, Miss Good is a Baltimore native. She's a really nice person.
What does she do for work?
Well, she is a mother. I don't know exactly what she does for work because we haven't gotten to that deep detail of, that. We mostly try to keep it focused on to the case.
As far as you know, when did Miss Good take up residence in the house?
Well, since this is an ongoing investigation or litigation, I wouldn't be able to discuss that on live TV.
There's, in any case that we take on, obviously there's certain facts that may come up in court, but it's safe to say she had been there for some time.
They say Good lived in the house with 3 other people. In late January, a judge convicted Good of trespassing and burglary and sentenced her to 90 days behind bars. Good went to jail, but began her appeal.
She believes she's not guilty, obviously. Why?
We're going to be addressing in court, but she pled not guilty because she felt she did not commit a crime.
She served less than 2 weeks before posting a $5,000 appeal bond and being released from jail. I think it's not enough.
The kicker was still to come. As soon as Good was released from jail, Ian says she went right back to the house.
We spotted her on security camera walking back through the snow in the same clothes she wore during her trial. We were all shocked.
Was she told that she couldn't return to the home?
Well, to be candid, she was given an order to return back to the home to remove her property from the home. So,
but she was ordered to vacate the property.
Yes, but that's again civil matter versus the criminal matter.
Okay.
Ian went back to court and filed a new round of charges against Good, once again for trespassing and burglary.
We're here in the backyard of the over 7,000 square foot mansion, and every first floor door and window has been boarded up.
Good and the others did finally leave the home in February. Video from inside shows some furniture left behind, some walls painted black. One other person has been charged and is awaiting trial. Tamika Good is set to head to court for her second trial at the end of this month.
How do you explain to someone, a property owner, that someone has the legal right to just come into a home and occupy it?
The only way to initiate this change would be through legislation.
Ian says the laws do need to change in Maryland and elsewhere to protect homeowners.
All the credit to Ian Chen. But if a teenager has to find a workaround to get a squatter out of a home, something's wrong with the system.
This is an issue that affects all neighborhoods in the United States, red or blue, urban or rural. This issue affects everybody. And until it happens to you, you would never even think about it.
Our thanks to Mola. We turn now to the explosive allegations against civil rights leader Cesar Chavez by Dolores Huerta, who led the migrant farm workers movement alongside Chavez. ABC's John Quinones sat down with the 95-year-old.
Tonight, after more than 60 years, Dolores Huerta, who fought alongside Cesar Chavez and co-founded the United Farm Workers, is breaking her silence about his alleged sexual abuse.
If you could talk to Cesar Chavez right now, what would you say to him?
How could you? How could you?
It touches you even now.
Yes, sir.
At almost 96, Huerta sharing a painful secret about the man millions considered a hero.
It pains me to have to ask you this, but did Cesar Chavez rape you?
When you are forced into a situation of unwanted sex or whatever, that I think you could, you could consider it rape.
Huerta was in her 30s. She says she decided to reveal her own abuse after she learned two women she knew from the farm workers movement told the New York Times they were groomed and sexually abused by Chavez as children. Tonight, many are covering up murals honoring Chavez and struggling to square Cesar Chavez the hero with Cesar Chavez the alleged sexual predator.
What is your message to the community who believed in him and now feel left down?
I think we have to remember the good that he did. I don't know about the terrible things that he did. You know, I think we leave that up to in God's hands. He was a great leader, but unfortunately, he had an evil side to him.
Our thanks to John. When we come back, Shahs of Sunset reality star Reza Farahan.
Hello, we're Persian.
What the dynamic Iranian-American has to say about emigrating to the U.S. and his candid thoughts on the war with Iran.
I thought that this evil terrorist dictator had finally gotten what he deserved.
Welcome back. You know, reality TV star Reza Farahan pops off the screen with his outsized personality, winning fans and viewers who he says see themselves in his story. He describes fleeing Iran during the revolution with his family as a boy and immigrating to the U.S., where he says things also felt pretty hostile. It's day 20 of the war with Iran. Reza Farahan shares his thoughts on the Middle East conflict with ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
To us, he was 10 times worse than Osama bin Laden, the equivalent of someone like Hitler, who has destroyed the country, killed so many people, and sponsors terrorism globally. For us, it felt like pure evil had been eliminated.
Persian-born Reza Farahan weighing in on the assassination of Iran's late Ayatollah Khamenei.
It was a moment to celebrate all of those people whose families lost protesters in January when there were uprisings in Iran. I don't know that many Americans were watching the videos of those parents burying their children. There were upwards of 50,000 protesters killed.
The Shahs of Sunset reality TV star, best known for his outspoken personality and razor-sharp wit.
The stomach, it's flat, the legs, juicy, and the good thing about me is I'm very, very humble.
Now stepping into a far more sober spotlight, chronicling his journey from child refugee of the 1979 Iranian Revolution to coming of age as a half-Muslim, half-Jewish gay teen, navigating identity, family, and belonging in 1980s California. In his new book, Memoirs of a Gay Shah, My Story of Family, Fame, and Becoming a King.
What are your thoughts on the war with Iran?
I wouldn't consider it a war with Iran. I would consider it a rescue mission for the people in Iran. I know many Persian Iranian Democrats who are so thrilled that the prospect of a free Iran is something that they're allowing themselves to dream about.
52-year-old Reza calls his journey the fulfillment of the American dream, an immigrant success story, decades in the making. 9 seasons on Bravo's Shahs of Sunset turned the luxury real estate agent into a breakout personality, cultural figure, and fan favorite. Set among a tight-knit circle of affluent friends in Los Angeles, the show showcased the flamboyant lives of some children of Iranian refugees in a way America hadn't seen before.
There was very little that I saw of people from Iran or Persians on TV unless they were representing a dictator or a terrorist. You'd never seen Persians just in their natural habitat doing their thing before. We are about family, food, community, and it started to build bridges immediately.
Against the backdrop of Iran's Islamic legal code, where same-sex relationships are criminalized and punishable up to death, he says his focus on the show was LGBTQ+ visibility and challenging misconceptions.
I said to my mom, if this show gives me 2 minutes to be on TV and show other young, gay Middle Eastern kids that their families can love them, their friends can accept them, and that they have a place in this society and community, that's what I want to do. Because I actually came up with people that took their own lives and aren't here today because they weren't accepted.
Married to his husband, Adam Neely, for over a decade, he's proud to represent the Middle Eastern LGBTQ+ community. But long before the stability he knows today, his life here began during a vacation to America he never returned home from.
And then little rumblings of a revolution started, and everyone back home kept saying, extend your vacation, things are really chaotic, just hang out in America for a little while longer. And a little while turned into a long while, and that turned into a full-blown revolution, and we never went back.
The 1979 Iranian Revolution toppled the U.S.-backed government, established an Islamic Republic, and set the stage for the 444-day Iran hostage crisis, when 52 Americans were held captive.
The Shah's arrival in Egypt complicates efforts to free the hostages.
I would watch the news with my parents, and everywhere we went, even when they were dropping me off at nursery school, people were side-eyeing them like, are you related to those people that are holding the U.S. hostages? It was a very, very hostile time to be here.
While he says his mixed identities made him feel like an outsider in both Persian and in American spaces, he said he is deeply grateful for the opportunities he and his family have had.
When I was naturalized as a U.S. citizen, it was one of the greatest days of my life. Because had I stayed in Iran, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I wouldn't be here. I would not be living. They would have killed me for being out, being loud, being gay, some combination thereof.
These days, Reza has a new Bravo reality show, The Valley, Persian style.
Why are you dressed like you're going to a Halloween party later? This is my farming outfit.
Reuniting him with fellow Shahs of Sunset alums MJ and Gigi.
You're getting hot with me. What do you mean?
I'm not getting hot with you. Why are you guys heated? You guys never fight.
This is Asiago, by the way.
Ooh.
As for returning to his homeland, some things, he says, are worth waiting to see.
I definitely dream to go and visit Iran, but I don't need to be the first one to go there. Maybe to be on the 17th or 18th flight of tourists that go in and come back. I want to make sure gay people aren't killed upon arrival. I want to make sure, like, we're good, right? Like, I don't need to test the water.
What do you think young Reza would think looking at you now?
Oh my God, let me see the picture. This little boy right here, I would tell him that I'm gonna make him really proud. I think he would be very proud of me.
Our thanks to Jacqueline. Reza Farahan's Memoirs of a Gay Shah is available April 7th. We'll be right back. And finally tonight, Utah mom Kouri Richins was accused of lacing her husband's cocktail with a deadly dose of fentanyl, then writing a children's book about grief. The jury this week took just 3 hours to reach their verdict. Here's a preview of Love, Money, and Murder, the Kouri Richins trial, now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Kouri Richins' case. I have been glued to my phone.
I'm not convinced that she did it.
She did it, and they're gonna find her guilty.
The wife who wrote a book with her children about grief after her husband died, now charged with murdering her husband.
Authorities say she was hiding a dark secret. Is she the grieving widow or a killer who conned everyone around her while plotting her husband's death?
What is happening in Utah? What in the Utah is going on?
Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
And that's Nightline. Thanks for staying up with us. Good night, America.